Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Angelina Zimmerman, who is currently writing her first book. Angelina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Paul. Excited to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
I am.
All right, question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Don't overthink it. So don't spend too much time sitting on your book, on your material, or doing further research, because there's always a reason to do that. You'll often find with your own material. So set a short deadline and make it happen.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Letting the book actually go out into the world, because it can be, and it even sounds quite daunting, to allow your own material, your own work to be there for everyone to see. So it's out there in the public. Once it's out there, it's there.
Well, and that links perfectly. There's two mantras that I always teach my clients. One is don't be afraid to take the plunge. And 2 is done is better than perfect. Just get the sucker out there. Because I know one thing I've always struggled with is being a perfectionist. So I want everything to be absolutely perfect. And the biggest thing I've learned about publishing is that it is never perfect. You could have the greatest editors in the world. There's going to be a couple of mistakes. Big deal. You fix it later. The main thing is you get that story out, because all people care about is relating to you. It's connecting with you personally. And as long as you're doing that, who cares about crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and all that good stuff. The main thing is to get out there and share that story. And if it's not perfect, fix it later.
Oh, exactly right. Exactly right. I think too, just on another point, is finding the right editor.
Yes.
So just be mindful who you work with, because I found from my experience that you can lose your own voice if you don't choose correctly the right editor. And so that's really important, to make sure it's still you coming through.
Well, you give a great example. Prior to the show, we were talking about my VP of Operations, about Devin, because she was in contact with you prior to the show. Well, the other thing about Devin is she's actually edited all 14 of my own books. Like, she is my personal editor. And she doesn't do a lot of editing with the business, but she does a lot of editing for my books. And the reason that I've had her continue to do these books is, one, she's a great editor. But the other part is she gets my voice. She gets my tone. So she is able to, I always call it slicing and dicing, where she kind of cleans up the mess that I'm writing, cleans it up, polishes it, makes it look great, but also keeps that tone. And I think it's one of the biggest things. When you can find an editor that gets you and gets your tone, you work with them for life.
Yes, agreed, because it can be a lengthy process otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have the right editor, because if you're not clicking with your editor, then you need to move on to the next one. And I was very lucky. Devin was the first person I reached out to 4 years ago, and it clicked. And I know I got lucky with that, and that's why I'm like, you know what? You're editing all my books. And 14 books, and 4 years later, here we are.
Fantastic. I love that. That's awesome.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you are planning to use in your book launch that you feel is going to work well.
Yes. Well, I will have a formal book launch here in Australia, and speaking opportunities I think are really important as well, because it not only gets your message and your story out there for others, but also that will help in terms of marketing your book as well. And I've known a lot of great authors that have done exactly that. And the more people that know about it and enjoy hearing about your story, obviously the more it'll be a marketable product for you.
So what are the things that you're talking about specifically in regards to speaking? Are you talking about book signings? Are you talking about events, live readings? What are some of the things that you're going to use as part of your strategy?
Yeah, so really like speaking at events or any opportunity, speaking in front of a large audience. I haven't detailed it down to, set things that speaking opportunities I'm looking for, but, those conferences and events where there's large groups of people, I think is really an amazing opportunity.
And what things are you going to do to be able to find those type of events? Are you doing like Google research? Or are you seeking out different convention centers? What are some strategies that you're planning to implement to be able to get to these events?
Yeah, well, I do have a large network, so I would start with my network and just asking and seeing what opportunities are available, whether it's in Australia or overseas, to be honest.
And also your book too. I know we were talking prior to the show. Your book is going to be specifically on mindset. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So I was formerly a columnist with Inc.com, and so I had an opportunity to speak to a lot of incredible entrepreneurs, and particularly in the US, actually, is where I started. It's just one of my passions, one of my loves, and I know and understand the power of it. And so I want to help others be able to shift their mindset to create a better reality for themselves.
Perfect. And you mentioned you were at Inc. magazine. Is that correct?
Inc.com, yes, in the US, which was just absolutely an amazing opportunity. I absolutely loved it.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Yes. Well, I'm in love absolutely with anything Dr. Joe Dispenza writes, because he talks about reprogramming your mindset, and a lot of it's through meditation as well. And he goes into talking about the brain, how it works, the different brain waves that we operate in, subconscious mind versus our conscious mind, and daily habits. And he talks most importantly about overcoming your emotion to create a different reality. Because you've got to remember, Paul, a lot of the time we are working in our subconscious mind. And so we're doing the same things day in, day out. And what happens is people tend to ruminate a lot about the past. And that hinders them from creating a brand new reality because they're stuck in the past. And so the fascinating book is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself: How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. It is really, really powerful. I highly recommend it.
What was the name of the book again?
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
I love that title.
So do I. It's very cool.
Well, and I actually have just been added into my summer reading list, so I think we're going to add this book to it. I love that idea.
Oh, please do, and let me know what you think as well.
Yeah, mindset's always been something that's kind of been near and dear to my heart. After my first book came out, that one was based off of health crisis I had a number of years ago. But the other ones were books that I repurposed content from my motivational seminars. And one's called Motivation 101. Another one's called Positivity Attracts. One's PMA, Positive Mental Attitude, Just Do It, Champion. And the reason I mentioned those is I'm a huge believer in the mindset. And I know we're going to get to the quote question in a moment. But my all-time favorite quote is, "What the mind of man can conceive and believe it will achieve." W. Clement Stone.
Yes.
And I've truly believed that for men and women is whatever you can set your mind to, you can do it. And I actually had this conversation, actually it's with my mom of all people, a couple of days ago, and she was saying, but not everyone can do that. It's those that have the strong will, or who are willing to build up that strong will, that can truly make that happen. I thought that was a really interesting perspective.
Yeah, totally, definitely. No, I truly believe anyone can, and we're all capable. It's just, like I said, getting people to deter from thinking about the way they normally think, whether it's them dwelling on the past or dwelling on a bad experience, or the health crisis or a relationship. Those sort of things can hinder you if you're not prepared to take the next step, which is moving beyond that and feeling a very different feeling a different emotion. And then that helps you create that new reality. It's just amazing.
Well, and I think the main thing is you have to do one thing. And, this is another thing I learned a long time ago, and that was forgiveness. And forgiveness is not the act of the weak. It's an act of the strong. I know for me, I had to forgive a lot of things in the past, with family, with let's say adversaries, we'll leave it at that. But you have to forgive, but it's not for them, it's for you. And if you can move on from that, you can get out of the past. You can get out of that black hole.
That's a really good point, Paul. And when I'm doing a lot of coaching with my clients, actually, that's one of the things that can come up as a key priority, is to work on that forgiveness. because that does as well stall them in a sense. You know, it hinders them again, their progress forward, because they're unable to, or they're having trouble forgiving someone. And you're right, it's a gift to yourself as well as the other person. It is amazing, and it is something that you do need to be strong about.
Yeah.
You know, it does require strength. It's not an easy thing to do, particularly, you know, given the experience that you might have had with that person. That can be challenging, for sure.
Yeah. So for a final question, what is your favorite
Yes.
quote and why?
Well, it's actually my own quote, and it's to do with mindset. So those who choose to walk along the path of abundance experience a completely different life filled with passion, love, laughter, and more opportunities. And Paul, I've got to say, I honestly believe that. If you think of someone with an abundance versus a scarcity mindset, and those being extremes, obviously, very different life. You would know that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree completely. I spent 17 days last month in Maui, and the reason I share that, it's not anything to be bragging about. It's just nice to the fact that you have that abundance of life. You have those opportunities to be able to do that. But the most important thing is that you enjoy it. You enjoy the life. You enjoy your family. That's what true abundance is. It's not what you have in the bank account. It's just being able to go out there and enjoy life and not have to live with two simple words, and that is what if. You know, I could never live with those two words, because I think regret is the worst thing that we can deal with.
I love that you said that, actually, because I'm sure you've had the same experience. I'm sure a lot of your listeners out there as well can relate, is that you've met people that have all this abundance, and it's, you know, observable to everyone, yet they're so unhappy, absolutely miserable. You know, there's nothing that can bring a smile to their face. There's nothing they're grateful for. And you're like, are you serious? It's just insane. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just really struggle to understand that. But it's amazing.
And you'll get
So you're right. It is. It's the day-to-day, right? It's the small things. It's even just being grateful for a hot shower. It's having friends. It's having a beautiful family life. It's, you know, having all those beautiful people and opportunities in your life. Makes a world of difference.
And that's what matters at the end of the day. And I was talking about that Maui trip. I was able to take my mom up there for 17 days, and you know, she just turned 82, and she can't do long haul travel. She can't do long haul travel anymore because, you know, her age and some of the health issues she has. So it was just nice to have that final trip, and it wasn't about going to fancy restaurants or anything like that. It was just about being able to enjoy a nice sunset from the condo, or it's nice to just go to the beach or just drive around. I mean, that's what true abundance is. It's enjoying those times. It's not just about going to the store and buying a bunch of stuff.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. And experiences are just amazing and, incredible. You sound very close to your family, so that's lovely.
Well, and I'll tell you the funniest thing, and I was just realizing the one book I didn't mention to you was my other seminar book, and it is called The Pursuit of Happiness.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
So it just cracked me up, because I never want to use the word happiness, because I think we're all pursuing that. I don't think we're ever going to ever achieve 100% happiness, but I think we can all pursue that. You know what I mean?
Well, we actually choose it, right?
Yes.
On a day-to-day basis. We can choose to wake up and be miserable all day, or we can choose to be happy and make the best of the opportunities and the situation that you're in, or, you know, create a better lifestyle for ourselves, whatever it is that, you know, abundance looks like to you and what you're wanting in terms of your goals. So we can choose that, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Well, Angelina, I want to thank you for being a guest on this show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Yes, so 2 ways. I absolutely love LinkedIn. My community on LinkedIn is just amazing. So Angelina Zimmerman, I would love to connect with you. Or the other way would be to go to my website, angelinazimmerman.com as well.
Well, Angelina, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Likewise, Paul. Much success to you. I can't believe we're already halfway through the year. So, lots of success moving forward for 2019.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.